Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. It's always a joy to remind you that the most important energy of life is the one that you are. It's that God Spirit at the very center of your being. May you rejoice in it today, be strengthened by it, may it help you, and most of all, may you share it. If you're able to join us tonight, we're happy to have you for What is Light Body from 7 to 8:30. Let's begin. My dear friends, as I mentioned in last Sunday's teaching, there is more to say about you, more to say about you as a mutually supportive friend to the people in your life and through them to all the world. There is something about you that you know that has made you different from the way you used to be. There's something different about you that is getting ready to move forward into ways of living that you had thought about, but up to this time, were reluctant to embrace. And because of your reluctance to embrace a new possibility for your life, you did not achieve the satisfaction that is available to you, the satisfaction which is the crown jewel in your spiritual growth. Thus, the topic of today's teaching is satisfaction. The satisfaction that you are ready to move into if. The satisfaction you are able to move into if you are willing to make the move to attain it. What I will therefore be addressing in today's teaching is how we can achieve this satisfaction. I'll begin with two of our great avatars, then turn to a modern day figure who has a similar message for us, and then finally address you with the encouragement to come forward and experience the spiritual satisfaction that you're quite capable of achieving. Let's begin with the two great avatars who have spurred Eastern and Western thinking for quite many centuries, the Buddha of India and Jesus of Israel. Regardless what others had had to say about them, and indeed there have been many books written about Jesus and the Buddha, what is primary for us to do is to focus on their teachings, and especially to focus on the one thing that each of them knew in their lives and came to share. So what was that one thing? Just that one thing that the Buddha and Jesus knew, felt, and lived. What was that one thing to which they gave singular attention to and then became directive for their lives? What was that one thing that in the midst of their difficulties, they were able then to call upon to give them guidance? What was that one thing that has been the basis for Eastern and Western culture right down to our present time? I think you know the answer. That one thing that each of them knew at the very foundation of their lives, that one thing was a sense of a higher power. There was a creator, a God Spirit, that they not only knew, but also felt was within them, and thus became the guidance in all that they did. They knew something which others did not know, and then they were willing to share this knowledge with others in very practical, concrete ways. Let me repeat this. The Buddha and Jesus knew some things that people just didn't know, at least at the time. And what they were willing to do was then to share this knowledge in very practical, concrete ways. All right, one more time. What the Buddha and Jesus knew were some things that were very important in life, and they were willing to share this energy in very concrete, practical ways with the people in their lives. Let's now move to the 20th century and focus on a person who was working his way through life, like most of us, and was kind of blind to the meaning of life and perhaps a purpose that might be in life. That person is Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe was a very successful radio entrepreneur and seemed to be quite satisfied with the life that he was living. Things were just going fairly nicely in his life until something happened. Something happened that made him rethink the meaning of his life and the meaning of all lives. Perhaps something fairly similar to you. Something has happened that has made you rethink the meaning of your life. Well, what exactly was that one thing that happened to Robert Monroe? Many of you know what that one thing was because we have studied this very important book, The Ultimate Journey, in one of our study groups. The event that changed Robert Monroe's life was the fact that he had unprovoked out-of-body experiences. Totally unprovoked by him, Monroe would regularly leave his body. And his astral body then was able to visit places and do things. This was quite unnerving for him, at least at the beginning. Now, this becomes the important thing for us. As interesting as was his out-of-body explorations, and I mean, they were really interesting. The most important thing for Monroe was that these out-of-body experiences gave him a different overview of life. This is really important. When Bob Monroe went out of body, he then took a look at his life and he said, I need to put some other things together. I need a different overview of life. They gave him a different way of looking at things. Is that not also occurring to you? A different way of looking at things. Most people live here on earth just kind of going through the normal, everyday things of life. They are not quite sure exactly why things are the way they are. They just pretty much are the way they are. But after his out-of-body experiences, Bob Monroe had a very different overview of life. He now knew something. He now knew something that he didn't know before. And he was absolutely sure. He was absolutely sure of it because he had experienced these out-of-body experiences. Monroe boiled everything down to these two teachings. What if you knew? What if you knew with absolute certainty that you were more than your physical body? And then secondly, what if you knew? What if you knew with absolute certainty that you were an eternal soul and that you would live forever? What if you knew with certainty that you were more than simply a physical body and that you are an eternal soul that would be living forever? One more time. What if you knew with absolute certainty that you are more than your physical body and that you are an eternal soul that will live forever? And you can even live this way while you're in your physical body. Now, let's put the teachings of Monroe with the Buddha and with Jesus. What becomes extremely interesting is that the Buddha and Jesus taught that you have an absolute guide in your life, an absolute guide that you could hold on to, that you have the God Spirit at the very center of your life. And Monroe taught that your soul was not only in your present body, but your soul is eternal in itself when your physical body ceases. Here's the point. You know these two truths. You know these two truths unequivocally and without a doubt, that you are an eternal soul guided by the God Spirit, right here, right now, in your present physical body, and that you will continue to live even when your physical body ceases to be. You know these two truths, that you are eternally connected to the God Spirit, and even while you're in your present body, when your present body ceases, you will continue to be in your eternal soul. These two truths are so very important for us because they have given us a different overview of life. Would you just ponder them for a moment? That you have a different overview of life now. You know that you have the God Spirit at the very center of your being, and you know that you are much more than simply your physical body. You have experienced your connection to the God Spirit, and you know that your soul is more than your body. Here's the point. You cannot deny the experiences you have had. You cannot deny what you know, that you are indissolubly connected with the God Spirit, and that your eternal soul is more than simply your physical body. You have had these experiences in your life, and you now have a different overview of life. You are different than the way you used to be. You really know that you are an eternal soul, so much more than your body, and you are indissolubly connected to the God Spirit. You know these two truths. Here's the point. Are you now ready to live these truths? Although you cannot deny their experiences, you have sometimes an ability not to act upon them. And there was a time when you did not act upon what you knew. But I think now you're ready to commit yourself to a style of life that is based on these two truths: your connection to the God Spirit, and you are so much more than your physical body. I don't think that we're really, in a sense, able to go forward until we take these two truths and really put them at the very center of our lives. So what I'd like to share with you now are 4 very compelling reasons to hold these truths in the very center of your life. And notice that I didn't say 4 reasons for doing so, but I said there are 4 compelling reasons to do so. So here are the 4 compelling reasons that might make a difference in your life. The first compelling reason for you to act on what you know to be true is that you have 6 supportive friends that are here to help you. We've talked about them in the last several weeks. You have your soul, your beautiful, beautiful soul. You have members of your other spiritual groups, especially with Now Creations. You have your transitioned loved ones. We have the avatars, the elders, and our bestest of all friends, the God Spirit, at the very center of our beings. Do you not clearly understand that our spiritual friends, have the same thing in common, not only with each other, but with us? We have that same God Spirit at the very center of our lives. And I hope you feel your spiritual friends are cheering you on, saying, come on, time for us to go. Hopefully you feel your spiritual friends inviting you to step up and join the spiritual team. Isn't it time to step up and join the spiritual team? The second compelling reason to act on what you know to be true. Let me present it to you in the form of a question. It's a good question. How much do you really love your immediate family and friends? It's a good question. How much do you really love your immediate family and friends? Do you love them enough to share with them what you really know to be true in life? It's a good question to answer. Do you love them enough to share with them what you consider to be the most important things to know in life? Do you love them enough so that you will give them the very best in themselves? Why would you give the people you love the most only a second-hand experience of yourself? See, that's what you do when you don't share with them what you know to be true. Why would you give the people you love the most a watered-down version of what you have come to know is true? Why would you not give them the best of what you know to be true? It's a good question for us. Yes, of course, you have to be careful not to be too preachy and trying to lead where no one is ready to follow. But the truth of the matter is that you now are in a prime spot to help the people you love the most. You are the one who is loved by them. You're respected by them. And you are the one who can do the most to raise them into a fullness that you have now achieved. I encourage you to show up exactly where you have been planted here in the universe and to give to your family and friends what you know to be true. Give them the right overview. Don't let them keep on getting lost again and again. The third compelling reason to act on what you know to be true. The third compelling reason for you to act on what you know to be true is that you are perfectly equipped to do so. You are perfectly equipped. All that you need is a little confidence. So let me share with you these three things to bolster your confidence. First, take a look again at the third section of A Course in Miracles. The third section is entitled A Manual for Teachers. Now, you might say to yourself, well, I'm not a teacher, but don't be quite so sure that you're not. A Course in Miracles defines the teacher in this way. A teacher of God is anyone who chooses to be with only one qualification, and that qualification is not to see their personal interest apart from someone else's. One qualification for a teacher of God: to make a deliberate choice not to see their interest as apart from someone else's. One more time. A teacher of God is anyone who has made the choice not to see their interests apart from anyone else's. Isn't this precisely what you have done? Isn't this exactly what your idea of oneness is? That your interests are linked to the interests of others. Are not your interests linked to your family's interests? No, come on. Your interests linked to your friend's interests? And under the notion of oneness, would you not say your interests are linked to the interest of all humanity? Is this not you? Are you not perfectly equipped because you have responded to that one qualification, that your interests are linked to the interest of others? This is really big. A second way to bolster your confidence. Do you recall in your own life how many stops and starts you have been through? At one time you felt, I am so committed. And then the next moment you just went back to your old habits. And yet through it all, your teachers were there for you. Your teachers witnessed your high points and the not so good times. And just as your teachers were patient with you, just as your teachers were patient with you, you have to be patient with others. Please do not think that as you share your message with them, they're going to get it the first time. They only need one teaching, just as you needed more than just one teaching. But just as your teachers were patient with your progress, please be patient with others. Slowly but surely at first, but more and more, just as it was for you. Keep repeating the message. Be patient, but keep repeating the message. The third bolstering to your confidence, you will recall that the second refuge of Buddhism is the achievement of Buddhahood. The idea being that if one of us can achieve Buddhahood, then so can everyone else. We just need to be able to see that, well, because one person did what was possible, we can do it as well. Now, look at yourself. Look at yourself. You have done this. You have become enlightened. Now, don't back down from this. You have become enlightened. Because you have, so can others. So can your family and your friends. What they just need is for you to hold the focus. They need you to hold the focus of the light so that they too can attain the knowledge that you have attained and act accordingly. They need you to hold the focus on the light so that they can achieve the knowledge and the style of life that you have now achieved. Bring your family and friends with you into your horizon. You're quite capable. And now the fourth compelling reason for you to act on what you know to be true. This fourth reason is the most compelling, quite frankly. It has to do with you. It just has to do with you and only you. The fourth compelling reason for you to act on what you know to be true is for your satisfaction. It's for your satisfaction. It's for your satisfaction to finally be true to yourself. It's for your satisfaction to finally achieve the spiritual growth you have desired all your life. So may I suggest to you the 4 following characteristics that lie at the very heart of your spiritual satisfaction. The first characteristic of your spiritual satisfaction is that it is personal. It is personal. It has everything to do with you. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It's up to you to step into your spiritual stature, to move into a higher spiritual sense of being, to be a beloved child of the Most High. It's personal. It's a matter of you having spiritual integrity. It's personal. The second characteristic follows from the first one. You have looked in the mirror and you have faced yourself. You have faced yourself. And there is no more pretending. There is no more pretending that you're spiritual. Just reading books or attending classes. You are now ready to happily be the adult of God. Not just the adult in the room, but the adult in the world. Joyfully ushering in the kingdom of God. You're living up to what you know to be true. You have a different overview now. Do you not see this? You have a different overview. The third characteristic, you are tired. You're tired of disappointing yourself. You're just tired of all of these old starts and stops. There is something different about you now. This is the time to move forward. Perhaps it's the knowing that you have supportive friends. Perhaps it's because you do your daily meditation or you practice our 7 daily spiritual practices of now creation. Or perhaps it's the fourth characteristic. The fourth characteristic is the most important one for your satisfaction. It's the basis for all the rest of them. The fourth characteristic for your satisfaction is that you have finally devoted yourself to your spiritual growth. No more maybes. No more putting it on. No more pretending to be spiritual. Now, full devotion to the God Spirit. You knew it would come down to this. Fully devoted to the God Spirit. Full satisfaction. Finally, you in full spiritual awareness, acting on what you know to be true. It has given you a different overview of life. We're ready to do this. In conclusion, you might have again sensed that there is more to be said about full satisfaction, and there is, and that'll be in next week's teaching. But for now, put yourself in the company of Jesus and the Buddha and Bob Monroe. Do not deny what you know to be true. Do not deny that different overview that you have in life. And invite others, especially your family and friends, to join you. And as you do so, But I suggest full satisfaction is guaranteed. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Let's again begin by simply focusing on the breath. Just nice, easy breathing. Just breathing in and breathing out. You knew it would come down to this. Oh, yes, you put it off here and there. So many things you had to do, but you knew it would come down to this. It's kind of like either you put up or you shut up. Your spirituality has ceased being at the circumference of your life. Your spirituality is front center. You can't deny what you know. But you can choose not to live this way. How many times have you heard people say, I've been on the spiritual path for 25 years and I'm still seeking, as though they are being martyred on their spiritual path? Don't you think it's just time to know, to find, and to live in a devoted manner? You've tried everything else in life. You've tried everything else. You were devoted to a lot of other things, certainly devoted to relationships, spousal, children, devoted to your work, devoted to providing a living for your family. So you know what it means to be devoted. It's just a matter of turning your attention inward. That's what our good friends, Jesus and the Buddha did. They just turned inward. And you certainly have to admire Bob Monroe. He was just kind of cruising along in life, and all of a sudden he had these out-of-body experiences. And he said, I need a different overview in life. I'm an eternal being. What am I doing just living as though I'm not? I just encourage you not to hold back anymore, just not to hold back. Commit yourself, devote yourself. Isn't it nice to have spiritual friends that are cheering you on? And you, of course, cheer them on as well. Just nice to know that we're not in this simply by ourselves, that we're part of a larger universal energy and we're cheering each other on. It's wonderful, just wonderful. And it really is just a good question. Why would you give your family and friends a less than adequate view of life? Especially when you know there's more. It really is a good question. Why would you water down what you know to be true? As your teachers have been patient with you, be patient with your family and friends, but be clear in the energy you're holding for them. They need you. They just need you. And without a doubt, that teaching from A Course in Miracles, the teacher's manual, is pretty penetrating. There's only one qualification to be a teacher of God. Not to see your interest separate from others. It's kind of reminiscent of the teaching, we enter heaven 2 by 2, never by oneself. So would you simply own up to this, that what you know to be true has given you a different overview in life? What you know to be true, you're more than your physical body, you're an eternal loving soul. And this has given you that different overview in life. Would you just take these teachings and let them resonate within you today? I know what's true. I know what's true. And I will be devoted. Because I'd like to be satisfied. I'd like to be satisfied. It's the only way. Okay, a nice smile on your face, nice smile on your face, a sense of joy within your heart. We got the message. Now we simply want to experience the joy of so living. So with that, let me invite you back to your breath. Nice, easy breathing. You know what's true. You know what's true. And it's given you a better overview in life. Let's continue to assist each other. And with that, let me invite you to breathe your eyes open. Nice, easy breathing. I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste. Namaste, dear ones. Namaste.